Jim Schultz here for Calculated Risk, and don't forget, before we get started, the best ways you can help us are liking the video or subscribing to the channel. Both of those really help us out a lot. So as active traders, one of the metrics that we use almost every single day, or probably every single day for a lot of us, is the expected move. I mean, the expected move helps us quantify potential movements in a stock we're interested in or the overall market. It helps us select the strikes on our strategies. It does so many different things, but much like every other metric in the marketplace, it is dynamic. It is fluid. It is not going to be the same when you're looking at one iteration of it relative to another iteration of it. Case in point, the expected move on expiration cycle A is not going to be the same as the expected move on expiration cycle B. The expected move on a short-term cycle is not going to be the same as the expected move on a long-term cycle. So let's dig in to this whole idea a bit more and let's go. So what is the expected move really? Well, at its core, the expected move is simply the market's best guess, the market's gauge of what the potential range of a given stock or index or asset, whatever you're looking at, is going to be over that time horizon. It's derived from the option prices themselves. More specifically, using the properties of like the normal distribution and statistical analysis, the expected move essentially gives you this is the range that the stock is anticipated to fall within about 67 to 68% of the time. Which, I mean, that's a pretty high number. Like, that's a pretty high probability, but it's not a guarantee. It's not a guarantee. It's not a promise. It's not a sure thing. It is indeed a probabilistic situation, as everything really is in the market. And so 2/3 of the time, it's going to fall within that range, but then 1/3 of the time, it's going to move outside of that range, whether it be the upside or the downside. Both extremes are in play. But what I really want to focus on here today is how different expected moves are from one cycle to the next. Like if I'm looking at an expected move on like a 0 DTE or a 3 DTE or a 7 DTE, that's going to look drastically different than if I'm looking at an expected move for the same stock at 14 days or 21 days or 45 days or 90 days. And to take this idea one step further, and just kind of think about this from a first principles standpoint, it's going to make sense that the longer time I'm looking at, the more time I'm giving in a given expiration cycle, the wider the expected move. Right? Like if I'm only looking over 1 day or 2 days, the expected move of a given stock may only be plus or minus $1. But if I give that same stock 2 weeks or a month or 2 months, obviously there is more time, there is more days, there is more possibilities. The expected move is going to follow suit and be wider for those longer dated cycles. The expected move scales with time. And specifically, the expected move scales with the square root of time for all my beautiful mind fans that might be watching the show here today. It doesn't do so in a linear way. It does so in very much a non-linear way, but it does widen out as you add time to the cycle and look at those longer dated options. So let's pop into Tasty Trade and let's take a look at this very idea with a couple different stocks. All right, so I'm inside of my Tasty Trade platform, and let's take a look at Dell, up $91 today. Everybody is trading Dell. I'm actually shocked they're still in business, but they're doing quite well for themselves. And so if I look at a 7-day cycle in Dell, if you look at the expected move, which in Tasty Trade is just this copper strip, this brown strip, this vertical brown strip in the center of the screen, you can see that the expected move here for Dell, you've got the stock at about 408. On the downside, it's going to be all the way down to about 372.5 or so. And then on the upside, it's going to be all the way up to about 445 or so. If you look at the upper right-hand corner of the option chain, it gives you the numerical representation of that vertical copper strip. But you see, over the next 7 days, the market is pricing in based on the stock price, based on the implied volatility. It's an objective measurement of what the market thinks the anticipated range for Dell is going to look like over the next 7 days, plus or minus about $36 to $37. Okay, but look what happens. Let me minimize June. Let's go out to the July cycle with 49 days to go. So now we're talking about a radical difference, right? 7 days to 49 days is a very big difference. Now the Dell expected move jumps from plus or minus 36, 37 all the way to plus or minus 84. So now on the downside, you're going all the way down to about 320 or just over 320. And then on the upside, you're going all the way up to over 470. In fact, the strikes aren't even available yet for how far Dell is anticipated to move on the upside if it is indeed going to move higher. Now, again, the market's not telling you which way it's going to go because nobody knows which way it's going to go. It's very balanced. It's always going to be symmetric. And that's why it is indeed a plus or minus situation. And for another example, let's take a look at Tesla. You've got Tesla at 436. Let's take a look at a 20-day cycle in Tesla. You can see the expected move here is plus or minus $33. So you've got Tesla at 435. That takes it all the way down to about just over 402 or 402 and a half on the downside, and then all the way up to about 469 or 470 on the upside. That is the expected move for Tesla in the 20-day cycle. Not super tight, but again, let's minimize this and let's look at like an 84-day cycle. So if I go all the way out to 84 days, now you see the expected move is plus or minus 76. So plus or minus 33, 34, again, not super tight, but relative to an 84-day cycle, much, much tighter. So you give a stock like Tesla, you give a stock like Dell, you give any stock more time, you're going to have much wider anticipated ranges in that stock. So here, you've got the stock at 436. This takes us all the way down to about 360 on the low end, and all the way up to about 510 or just over 510 on the high end. And again, this is approximately a 67 to 68% probability of Tesla falling inside of this range, anywhere inside of this range. So you can see, it's a pretty wide range when it comes to, where Tesla could potentially fall to kind of check off that 67 to 68% marker in terms of falling within that one standard deviation kind of range. The expected move, statistically speaking, does give you a plus or minus one standard deviation range. So it's one standard deviation on the upside, one standard deviation on the downside, and that is where these numbers come from. That's what they mean from a purely stats standpoint. But for a very practical matter, this is so helpful for us for choosing strikes, kind of understanding our risk, understanding strategies, understanding P&L zones. You can use the expected move in a number of ways. And then lastly, just sticking with Tesla because we already have it up on the screen, this is why we really like the 45-day time horizon. Now, it doesn't have to be 45 days exactly. Generally speaking, the monthly cycle that's closest to 45 is going to suffice. So if I open up July, you can see my expected move here is plus or minus 53. So obviously, it's going to be between what we saw at the 20-day cycle and the 84-day cycle. So plus or minus about 53. And there's a number of reasons why we like 45 days to go in terms of theta decay and the extrinsic value falling off the option and things like that. But it gives us a really nice balance between really tight expected moves and really wide expected moves. Because really wide expected moves obviously sound amazing, but when you move really far out in time, like 80, 90, 100 days, whatever, you don't really get the decay, you don't really get the extrinsic value dissipation happening efficiently and quickly. And so 45 days to go is really kind of that sweet spot between something that's really tight and something that's really wide, and it gives us a lot of different ways that we can manage the position. All right, so what can we take away from all this? Well, the expected move, again, this is one of the metrics that traders use all day, every day, myself included, because it gives us an objective measurement of what the market thinks is the anticipated range for that stock, for that asset, for that time period. But again, as you just saw, it's a very different animal when you're looking at 7 days to go, 14 days to go, even 20 days to go, and then going all the way out to, 70 days to go, 90 days to go, 60 days to go, even 45 days to go. They're very, very different kind of pieces of analysis when it comes to what the expected move is showing you in the shorter term cycles. Those are very tight. What the expected move is showing you in the much longer term cycles, those are very wide. And again, landing somewhere around that 45-day time horizon is the sweet spot. It gives you a nice balance of both, and I'll see you guys next time.